Stravo. Hello, I'm crazy enough to come to Serbia during a cold winter to check out some of its most famous landmarks and ancient fortresses, its beautiful churches and historical cathedrals. Wanna check out the nightlife and partying out with the Serbian ladies, and getting around easily and safely. The best of Belgrade and Novi Sad, and you are invited. Officially the Republic of Serbia, a landlocked country situated at the crossroads of Central and Southeastern and Central Balkans. Inhabited since the Paleolithic Age, the territory of modern-day Serbia faced Slavic migration to Southeastern Europe in the 6th century. Throughout its history, Serbia was ruled by different powers until 2006 when it peacefully dissolved its union with Montenegro. Today, it has a population of 7 million. With that being said, welcome to Serbia. Alright people, welcome to Belgrade. We are almost there. It's actually not a bad ride. It's pretty fast. Alright, let's get to the center of the action. There's buses coming to Belgrade from all neighboring major cities from Hungary, Bulgaria, Greece, Bosnia, and of course, Romania, where I started. But if you're coming from Belgrade's Nikola Telsa Airport, here's what you need to do. Now there's few ways to get down to city center if you're flying in, and one of the first way is taxi, which is a lot more expensive. Second way is what I'm doing right now is a minibus, and it takes you directly to city center. The third way, if you got more time, is take a local bus. It costs half as less as the minibus, but be warned, it does take quite some time. It stops around 15 times before it gets to the city center. Belgrade is the capital of the Republic of Serbia. The name means the White City, established in 279 BC. Today, with a population over 1.7 million, it's often called the party capital of Southeastern Europe. Famous for offering numerous entertainment venues, many historical sites, great local food, and warm people. And I'm so ready to experience every part of it. But hold on, I'd like to thank two of my accommodation sponsors. For the budget option, Fair and Square is a way to go. They offer both clean dorm beds and private rooms in a young, energetic atmosphere. The best of all is only 10 minutes walk to the city center. For those of you who needs a little bit more privacy, there's Caravan Inn, located in a great location with easy access to public transportation right outside the door. They offer full private suite for guests of all sizes, with premium bed, balcony, and en-suite showers. Most of the Belgrade's attractions are easily accessible by foot, but to save time, unless you can teleportation, I recommend you grab an unlimited tourist transit pass for 1, 3, or 5 days. The best transit app is Move It, and yes, it's free. So we're gonna start our journey right here at the Republic Square, and this is also home to some of Belgrade's most recognizable and historical buildings. The Republic Square is Belgrade's central square and the main gathering point for the locals and visitors alike. The square occupies an area of 120 meters and is surrounded by important landmarks such as the National Theatre, the Jordan Cinema, and the Serbian Army House, the monument to the Prince Mihailo, and many others. The square in its form today originated in 1866 after Stamford Gate had been torn down and built in its place the National Theatre. The gate was built at the beginning of the 18th century by the Austrians, in the spot between today's Prince Mihailo Monument and the theatre. In its day, the construction was considered one of the most grandiose and beautiful of that time. when Belgrade was still surrounded by a ditch. This is where the famous road leading to Constantinople, or today's Istanbul, which was how it got its name. Still, regardless of its beauty, the Stamford Gate didn't remain in the pleasant memory for Serbian people, but rather as a place where Turks would execute their prisoners. The square is also home to many historical significant events, including the battle for the city's liberation in 1806. It was said that before the final breach of the fort, one of the soldiers promised to his comrade that he will sing from the top of the tallest Turkish canyons, signaling their victory. I'm also forecasting a landslide victory for myself. I have promised my Serbian friends if I become the president of Serbia, everyone in the country will get free chocolate cookies every single day during my term. So, just 10 minutes away on foot, I'm going to meet my future home at the center of the political power. It's the House of National Assembly of the Republic of Serbia. The cornerstone was laid in a public ceremony in 1907 by King Peter I at the presence of other members of the royal family and senior officials. Construction lasted until 1936, interrupted by the Balkan War, World War I, and the Great Depression. The first session in the new house took place on 20th of October 1936. The house was originally designed by architect Konstantin Jelinek in 1891, but since crowdfunding didn't exist back then, the financial constraint prevented its construction. A new design was proposed by Jan Jelinek in 1901 after Constitution Amendment and the creation of bicameral parliament. The 13,800 square meter building is designed in a neo-Baroque style. Its interior, completed in 1938, was designed by the Russian architect Nikolai Kozlov. Today, the individual visit is available every first Saturday of every month, with tour includes National Assembly House, the new palace, and the seat of the President of Serbia. Yeah, beautiful. But if politics is not your cup of tea, how about a glass of wine, beer, or spirit? Even better, let's just party. And I'm heading with my new friends to the trendiest area of Belgrade, the Savamala.
Actually, this area was abandoned and empty since 5 years ago, and now we can present the country. The life is bring back again to this old part of the town.
Located in the shadow of Branko's Bridge on the right bank of Sava River, which gives the first part of its name. The second part of the name comes from the Turkish word Malaha, which means neighborhood. Savamala is one of the first Serbian neighborhoods established in the 18th century, and the main street is Petrovaradin, and was named after the leader of the first Serbian uprising. During the reign of the Prince Milos Obrenović, which decided to transform this area into a modern city modeled by the architecture of the European cities such as Vienna or Budapest. As a result, the modern construction process was used, with beautiful facade edited in the artificial stones.
In Serbia, it's the fact that the party doesn't start until the midnight. So we haven't even got started yet.
Savamala is the undisputed queen of Belgrade's nightlife. As over past decade, it became one of Belgrade's most popular night spots, especially during the winter, when Slav or Club on the River are closed. But for tonight, let's cheer with Serbia's national drink.
This is my first Serbian drink here, and this is a very traditional Serbian drink. It's Rakija, made of plum, and it's 40%. With that being said, let's cheers.
The Savilica or Rakija is made from distillation of fermented fruit with alcoholic content ranging from 40 to 60%. So, make sure to enjoy it responsibly. I woke up next morning knowing I need to confess my sins, but it's not going to be hard because no matter what direction I approach Belgrade from, there is one mighty landmark you won't able to miss. Let me introduce you to Church of Saint Sava, the pillar of Serbian faith. The church is dedicated to Saint Sava, the founder of Serbian Orthodox Church, and built on the presumed location of his grave. Its total height reaches a astounding 82 meters, with the dome being 70 meters high, and the main gold-plated cross giving an additional 12-meter height. There are more than 49 bells in the bell towers and over 18 gold-plated crosses on its dome. The central dome resembles that of Hagia Sophia, after which it has been modeled, and weighs is 4,000 tons, and its lifting was the greatest achievement of the construction process. The lifting itself took over 40 days. The Church of St. Stephen is named after the founder of Serbian Orthodox Church, and this is one of the largest Orthodox churches and one of the largest churches complex in the world. The interior mosaic, a donation from Russia, with the initial decoration of the dome being presented in 2016 by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The mosaic has been designed by the artist Nikola Telsa Airport from the Russian Academy of Arts. Next, I'm going to rediscover and touch the city's past history with a visit to monumental Belgrade's Fortress on the White Ridge above the confluence of Sava and the Danube, raising above the city and protecting it. Destroyed and rebuilt numerous times, the fortress has become the symbol of the city that keep rising and growing. Armies, peoples, and conquerors have left their mark, hence historical layers that were left by Romans, Serbs, Turks, Austro-Hungarians lying one beneath another. The Romans had built the first fortification in the 2nd century and later home to Roman legion which protected the area. It suffered devastation by the Goths, Huns, Avars, and Slavs. Sometime during that tumultuous times, the ancient Synagogue was created. It was erected on the very same White Ridge after which it was named Belgrade, which means White City. Today, the Belgrade Fortress comprises of upper and lower towns and vast field in front of the very fortress that Turks named Kalamagdam, joining the word Kal, which means city, fortress, and Magdam, the Turkish word for field. The most beautiful and most spacious park once used to be a field where battles are fought with enemies. Those of you who like to learn about the history of war, do not miss the opportunity to visit the military museum in the lower town. The best of all, it's free to visit the outdoor collections, but it only costs $2 if you want to check out the other 3,000 ancient and modern items, which includes Roman swords and helmets, Greek helmets and daggers, Serbian heavy knight armors, axe, shields, helmets, crossbows, armor, gloves, as well as Western medieval weapons. For outdoor exhibits, there's no shortage of armored tanks, more tanks. more tanks. Also canyons, more canyons. You got the idea. But I really don't like words. Let's get going. Right across from the fortress, you arrive right here at Belgrade's main pedestrian street. The Knez Mihailova Street is also a shopping zone and is protected by law as one of the oldest and the most valuable landmark in Belgrade. Named after Milos Ovenovich III, the Prince of Serbia, it features a number of buildings and mansions that was built in the late 1870s. It is thought as early as the Roman times it was a center of the Singadunum settlement. In the late 20th century, from a mostly shopping area, it evolved into a cultural center of Belgrade. In 1987, there was a major reconstruction on Knez Mihailova and its transformation into a pedestrian zone. Sadly, you may have passed by this ruin left over from the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia. Around the midnight of April 29, 1999, the 40th day into the NATO bombing campaign, the building was bombed 2 times in the space of 15 minutes. Since 2005, it has been protected monument of culture symbolizing the 1999 NATO bombing.
Postal services and phone services were together in the same company. So it's all fruit of this his work.
Good things are not always easy to find, but thanks to my Serbian friend, she brought me to meet her mom and dad. And no, this is not a pre-marriage interrogation. Her dad's friend is a retired postal inspector and they both help running a postal museum that's dedicated to Serbia's postal service. But, hold on. Before we start exploring this lovely home museum, I was greeted with Serbian hospitality, and this is what you call Vanilice. It's a traditional Serbian pastry stuffed with vanilla jams. Oh my god, it's definitely homemade. Thank you so much. They made this for me. Thank you so much. There is something else I need to try before we begin, and this is called tukla baka. It's stuffed with fruit and as well as nuts, and topped with some sugar icings. Oh my god, it's really awesome. It's really crispy. It has a really crispy layer, but inside there it's nice and cold, and you can just feel like the actual fruit inside the jams. With that being said, I should get back to work right now.
This whole idea started from Zoran Markovic, which was chief postal inspector, and by doing his job, he got the chance to travel all over the old Yugoslavia and see all different postal objects that were scattered around and not cared enough for. So he started collecting them, and he started searching different regional objects. He restored them, cared for them for so many years, and this museum is a product of his passion.
This small museum has a very impressive collection of old artifacts, but my favorite is an old phone book. Maybe I can even find a number for a nice girl to be my future wife. Hopefully, these people are not all dead. I'm also going to use these very advanced technology to make some calls, so wish me luck. Today, the museum is no longer private and has expanded to a larger location. It has been merged with the Society for Culture, Arts, and International Cooperations. So, check it out. I'm really hungry, so if you got serious money to impress your future father-in-law, good news. You can grab a whole fish for $50. Not so bad. But for me, I'll settle for a $2 traditional soup. This is the soup they call Riblja Corba, and
Well, those fish actually from the river, and you just eat it with the bread. I guess you just dip it in, and it tastes amazing. Will not be teak, people.
In Belgrade, don't be surprised if you see a lot of these Chinese street signs. Oh yeah, another evidence they are taking over the world. They even have a mini Chinatown. Actually, it's a Chinese mall.
Basically, this is pretty interesting mall. It's just full of mostly Chinese shops. Actually, a lot of stuff that's made in China. It's actually pretty impressive. I mean, you can find absolutely everything here, and clothings and cutlery, food, of course. There's many Chinese restaurants, so it's actually really nice. You even can find thread. So very, very surprising.
Now, if you are able to find a nice Chinese wife here, there's even a barber shop to make you look sharp with some style, and fresh flowers for your wedding. However, I'm laser sharp focused on finding some legit Chinese food. I am hungry.
Now, as you know, I'm Chinese, and I'm always homesick. And one of the things I get over that by eating Chinese food. And this is one place you can actually eat as authentic as can be, because these migrant workers from China, Chinese food. So I'm eating noodles with pork on top, and with Chinese donuts. And let's give it a shot. Serbian Chinese food. Tastes like my parents' noodles. This is what people eat for breakfast in China, by the way. So I'm getting back to eating, and wish you bon appetit. So basically we are going to Novi Sad today, and I'll be taking a train. It's fairly clean. Unlike in US, we have assigned seats. There is no assigned seats, but there is not many people here. With that being said, let's hope this can be a fast, quick ride.
The ride takes about an hour and 45 minutes, and there's multiple trains each hour, but none of them have toilets, so get that done beforehand. Now, if you're wondering how the difference between cabin classes, here's my review.
So the difference between the first class and the second class is, first class you have an outlet, and the seats are slightly wider. For the second class, the legroom are slightly smaller, and there's no outlets. But remember this, the seats are unsigned, so you can hold a second class ticket and still go to first class. Welcome to Novi Sad, and it's a bit cold up here, so I'm going to check into the hotel, and we'll start our day from there.
The best way to get from the railway station to the city center, and also getting around in general, is by the public bus. It's really cheap. Once you're in the center, most of the major landmarks are easily accessible on foot if it's not too cold. The Novi Sad means New Orchard in Serbian, and is the capital of the autonomous province of Vojvodina, and founded in 1694 as a colony formed by Serb merchants. In the following century, it transformed into an important trading and manufacturing center, as well as a center of Serbian culture, earning the nickname Serbian Athens. Today, it's home to a population of 300,000, plus it's a university town, which means there's a lot of Serbian babes. Maybe I'll have success finding a hot wife here. Perhaps few, if I manage to get a volume discount. On my way to the first attraction, I thought about catching up on my readings, and there's no better place to do it at the Matica Srpska Library, the oldest and the first Serbian public and scientific library. As well, if you got some sins confessed along the way, there's a lot of beautiful churches and cathedrals, like this beautiful one, originally completed in 1905 on the ruin of the church built in 1734 and burnt down in the bombings in 1849 during the revolution in the Habsburg area. Today, it's a seat of Serbian Orthodox Episcopal of Bačka.
So this is Savamala Church. The name implies where everyone gathers, and that is why a lot of wedding happens right here.
After the confession, let's party. There's a pedestrian street just few minutes away on foot.
So this street here is the Laze Telečkog, and it is the heart of the party central here in Novi Sad, because it's where all the nice clubs and bars are located. But as you can see, it's really early in the morning. So if you want to start partying, come roughly around 10 o'clock or so. That's when everyone are dressed up and ready to party.
Now, it is a bit early for parties, so let's continue on. We'll celebrate later. In the meanwhile, we'll celebrate our freedom by visiting the Freedom Square or the Liberty Square, the main square of Novi Sad. But let's start with a dose of sugar for under $1.
Now, as you can see, I'm such a sucker for sweets, and this is one of them. It's actually a traditional pancake, and you can put different toppings on them. For me, I like Nutella, so that's what I got. With that being said, let's eat. That is really epic. It's like really thin. The crust is really thin, and it seems like the Nutella just melts in your mouth. I love it.
This is the largest central city square built in the 18th centuries. On the edge of the square are the buildings from the end of the 19th and the early 20th centuries. Square has always been a place to celebrate important events in the history of the city, as well as meeting place for people and location where numerous important events are held.
So we are in Slopo Square, and this is actually built in the 18th centuries, but we are surrounded with amazing historical architecture from the 19th centuries. And this will they consider the center of the town, and that means it's the main square of Novi Sad.
On the west side of the square is a town hall built in 1895 in Neo-Renaissance style, designed by the architect George Manar. The facade of the building is a strikingly iconic with Corinthian column, and at the top of the building is a tall tower consists of a bell of St. Florian's, the patron saint of the city. The bell was called Matella, which name of the benefactress which donated the bell to the fire volunteer squad. On the opposite side of the square is the largest Catholic church, the Name of the Mary, the home to the Catholic Parish Church in Novi Sad, dedicated to the feast of the Holy Name of Mary. The present-day church was built in 1895 in a neo-Gothic style on the location of the original church that was built in 1719. The interior is decorated with movable timber carver. It has 4 altars and organs with 24 registers. On the window are 20 glass paintings, the work of Hungarian and Czech glass artists. Steep roof and tower are covered in colorful chromatics, with the clock tower being 76 meters high. So it's getting late. I'm cold and hungry. Let's grab a quick bite. On a budget, that is.
When it comes to food and you got less time, the best bang for your buck are those sandwiches. They are pretty big. By the way, my hands are not small, unlike Donald Trump. And they only cost about $1. They are everywhere in the street, and it's really filling. With that being said, let's eat. It's delicious. So, as you can see, I don't want to go home, and my day's not really done, but the weather here, I don't really have much of a choice, honestly.
But I won't be cold for too long. Once again, I'd like to thank my accommodation sponsor Astoria Apartment for providing me with a very warm and comfortable apartment in this cold weather. They offer fully furnished suites for both single travelers or families at an affordable price and right at the city center. Thanks guys! Next morning, my adventure continues. Once again, I briefly passed by two other landmarks. First being the Serbian National Theatre opened in March 1981. Second historic landmark being the Novi Sad Synagogue located on a Jewish street. Fifth to be erected at the same location since the 18th century, becoming a major project for the entire Jewish community of Novi Sad, on which construction began in 1905 and was completed in 1909. It is used for many cultural concerts and events. But if you want to meet some friends, young ones, one of the best Serbian university is only stone throw away. Now, if the winter weather is too brutal for you, here's somewhere nice and warm.
So as you can see, sometimes weather can be unpredictable, and if it doesn't cooperate, there's many places you can go indoors, and this is one of them. This is Spence Sports Center Novi Sad, and over here there's actually a swimming pool, there's a tennis table, there's bowling alley. I mean, crazy enough, there's also a judo arena. The great thing about Novi Sad is it's pretty small, and absolutely everything is walkable by foot. Even one of the further attractions, the fortress, you can get there within 20 minutes or so from the main square.
Our final attraction is also the most important in Novi Sad. We'll then head over to the right bank of the Danube River. I'm going to get high. High up in the fortress at the town of Petrovaradin. So get ready for some serious exercise.
So after getting off the bus, you do have to hike a little bit. With that being said, let's hope this will be a fast one, because I don't think I need any more exercise.
According to a legend, the name of Petrovaradin Fortress consists of three words, meaning the city on a rock strong as faith. Furthermore, due to the strategic positions and significance that a fortress had for the Habsburg monarchy, it was called the Gibraltar of the Danube, and for being the second largest fortress in Europe.
Even though the southern part of this modern day fortress began in 1692 by Charles Eugene de Coy, along with the 16 kilometers of underground tunnels as a countermine measure. There is recent evidence point that the settlement began in upper level of the fortress between 19 to 15,000 BC.
It consists of upper and lower city rising above the Danube and representing the symbol of Novi Sad. The most stunning part of the fortress is a clock tower at the Adligat basin. The clock is peculiar for its clock hands. A little hand indicates minutes, well, the big hands representing hours. This unusual clock constructed in such a way that people, most of all boatsmen, could read the time from a great distance. The mysterious underground that goes 4 floors under was built in 18th centuries and consists of an underground system of halls measuring 16 kilometers long. This mysterious underground was intended for launching of soldiers and keeping of weapons. It has 12,000 gun holes, and they even intend to make minefields in order to protect the fortress from enemies. I ended my brief journey of Serbia by heading back to Novi Sad's old bus station, located right beside the railway station. From here, there's frequent bus connection to major neighboring cities in Bulgaria, Hungary, Croatia, and Montenegro. But for me, my destination is Sarajevo, my starting point for exploring the best of Bosnia and Herzegovina for the episode of DIY Destination. So, check it out. With that being said, thanks for watching and have a safe and pleasant trip. Slow welcome!